know, the Ministry of Magic is the governing body in the magical community for the Harry Potter universe. But do you actually know the key department and functions? Let's have a look at those. So the first one we've got is the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. So this is responsible for maintaining law and order within the wizarding world. It focuses on things such as auras, who are responsible for dealing with dark wizards and magical lawbreakers. So we know Mad-Eye Moody, for instance, is an aura, and I think it was Harry's dream to be an aura as well. And also the Wizengamot, which is the Wizarding Court and High Council. Moving on, we then have the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures. Probably one that Hagrid's not so fond of, especially because he wants dragons and all sorts of wacky animals, so I'm assuming they're not his favourite department. But this basically manages the welfare and regulation of magical creatures like house elves, goblins, centaurs, and dangerous magical beasts. And it also handles the licensing of magical creatures and beasts as well. So I imagine this is probably something that Newt Scamander was probably going to be very into. Hermione with her Spew campaign. I imagine all this stuff is really up their street. So next we have the Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes. So this deals with the consequences of magical mishaps, such as unintended magical accidents. For instance, when you're looking in a zoo and a pane of glass vanishes. It's an accident, right? It also deals with the misuse of magic and other magical disasters. These are the ones who clean up magical mishaps in the Muggle world, often using Obliviate to clear memories. So in the Prisoner of Azkaban, when Aunt Marge goes flying off like a little balloon, and the team come and obliviate the family, it would have been this department that came and handled that for them. We then have the Department of International Magical Cooperation. So this department is responsible for establishing relations and agreements between different magical governments worldwide. And it works to maintain these relationships, make sure they're cooperative and they're peaceful with foreign wizarding communities, because obviously everyone wants to work together. Probably makes it a lot easier than working against each other. We then have the Department for the Control of Magical Objects. So this department regulates enchanted items and magical artifacts. It ensures that dangerous magical objects do not end up in the wrong hands and are properly monitored. So in the books, I'm pretty sure when Harry goes to Diagon Alley via the Floo powder but ends up in Knockturn Alley, he hides in a cupboard and he hears Lucius Malfoy talking to the owner of Borgin and Burkes about, there's some raids happening, he needs to hide some stuff. I imagine that this is the team that probably would be looking and trying to find magical objects that maybe they don't want to fall into the wrong hands. I could be wrong. Let me know if you think otherwise. I'm really interested to know what you think. Next, talking about Knockturn Alley and that confusion, it's the Floo Network Authority. So these guys are responsible for overseeing the Floo Network, and this department ensures that the travel system remains secure and there's no unauthorised use occurs. I did mention in a previous video that all of the Floo networks, they're all joined, so you can get into your fireplace with your Floo powder, but you will only be able to get out the other side if that fireplace is connected to the Floo network. Now I do think off the top of my head there are some fireplaces which are not all genuine, or maybe not on the list, so there may be some out there that maybe kind of go under the radar a bit, but for most part I think a lot of them, or majority of them, are all connected via this one network. And the last department here is the Muggle Worthy Excuse Committee. So this is a new one, never heard of this one. So this department works on maintaining the secrecy of the magical world by providing excuses for wizards and witches who are caught performing magic in front of Muggles. So it could very much be, a magic show, and the committee could say it was just sleight of hand, I'm guessing. I would have loved to have had some of this in the book. I am rereading the book, as you can probably see I'm on the first one at the moment, so I may find out where that this is used in the books. It's been a while since I've read them, but if you do have any instances in your mind of where the Muggle Worthy Excuse Committee was used, please let me know. So let's look at the structure and leadership then of the Ministry of Magic. So it's obviously headed by the Minister of Magic, and this changes a couple of times throughout the series. So the Minister is elected and their role involves overseeing the entire ministry. So obviously we first know we have Cornelius Fudge, and he is the minister for most of Harry's early years in Hogwarts. He's seen as incompetent, overly concerned, and he often makes decisions based on fear of losing his position. A notable one is when Voldemort returns. He would prefer slander to go out around Dumbledore and Harry and all these lies, then actually face the truth that this actually could be happening and he could actually be back. Once Fudge has fallen, Rufus Scrimgeour is put in place, and he's more successful, he's more capable, and he tries to rally support during Voldemort's return. However, he does face challenges in balancing public perception and security as well. So to be fair to him, he came in at a really difficult time where Voldemort had just returned. People were probably losing faith in the Ministry because they'd been lied to about Voldemort coming back. So it must have been a really hard position for him to come in. I mean, we didn't see him very much. I don't know how long he lasted for either. Not very long, I would have thought. But yeah, so they're the two ministers. Now, one person that always has to be mentioned is Kingsley Shacklebolt, because after Voldemort's defeat, he actually becomes the Minister for Magic. He's seen as fair and competent. He helps bring reform, but also rebuilds the Ministry as well. But he always seems to be the Minister's right-hand man, so he probably saw a lot that was going on and learned a lot while he was there. The character I really like, especially when he said that he's meant to be looking after the Minister of Magic, but Harry seemed more important. It's just as though Kingsley has his priorities straight. He kind of knows where he can be useful, and he kind of knows when he just needs to give up with something else because it's just fruitless. So I've always liked Kingsley. So, notable features. The Ministry is depicted as highly bureaucratic and often inefficient, especially in the earlier books where corruption and a failure to act decisively are prominent themes. Many departments are criticised for their handling of dark magic, the treatment of magical creatures, and their general tendency to turn a blind eye to injustice, especially during dark times like I've mentioned, Voldemort's rise or return to power. The Ministry also tries to keep the Muggles blind to the wizarding world by having the Statute of Secrecy as well put into place. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I think in the books at some point they say, if it gets out, it'll be like the Salem trials, everyone will be either hunted down or maybe they'll, people will try and use them for things. So this is obviously just to protect the people, all the wizards and witches out there as well, protect them, keep them safe. And you just don't know what's going to happen if Muggles found out about it. So during the Second Wizarding War, the Ministry became a key battleground under Fudge and later Scrimgeour. Ministry's unwillingness to acknowledge Voldemort's return until it's undeniable. That obviously wasn't a great look for them. I mean, do I think that Fudge probably believed that Voldemort was back? Quite possibly. But I do get this impression that Fudge didn't really like Dumbledore, maybe because Dumbledore was... I think they asked him to be minister and he turned it down, he didn't want it, so I'm wondering if they always felt as though Dumbledore was just like waiting in the wings or always just looking over to see, to see what was going on. So maybe Cornelius Fudge felt a little bit looked upon. But there was... The fact that Fudge wouldn't believe or refused to believe about Voldemort caused a lot of distrust between Dumbledore, Harry and the Ministry. Eventually, during the war, Voldemort's followers then infiltrated the Ministry and it then became a puppet for Voldemort's regime, leading to a period of great turmoil for the wizarding world. In the aftermath, as I mentioned, Kingsley, who was actually an ally of Harry, became the Minister of Magic. He wanted to restore order, reform the Ministry, and promote tolerance, especially towards those Muggle-born witches and wizards that we love so much, like Hermione. And also, I think Lily Potter was Muggle-born as well. The Ministry of Magic, you can't deny, is a complex and vital institution in the wizarding world, influencing much of the political and social dynamics throughout Harry Potter. But that's it, guys. That is kind of just an overview of the Ministry of Magic in the UK. Let me know if you want me to do the same with some of the others. Obviously, we have MACUSA in America. We can look into how they are set up and their departments as well. And we can always look at the key differences between the UK and the American. So let me know if you're interested in that. I do have a podcast, guys. It comes out once a month at the moment. We talk about basically just everything movie related. We are doing specific franchises, like no holds barred what we really think, but also we are going to start expanding into just general kind of chats about movies, maybe play some games on there, some trivia, stuff like that. Let me know what you want to see, what you want to see us talk about. It is very much a way that you can just get to know me and whoever's on the screen with me at the time. So if you've got any questions, anything you really want to know, pop them down in the comments and I will get to those in a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Got so much coming out this year that you're not going to want to miss. And until next time, you take care.